Hey. Time for another out-of-this-world story from our space. Sometimes it takes a heartbreak to shake us awake and help us see we are worth so much more than we're settling for. Today on our space, we prove that happiness is the best revenge because nothing drives your enemies more insane than seeing you smiling and living a good life. Up first, this OP won't give his ex the satisfaction of watching him suffer. Vindictive ex-wife illegally signed application to local HOA in my name. I'll start this off by saying my ex is vindictive as hell. We've been fully divorced since about right before the pandemic started. We sold the house we shared, and I didn't have to pay her alimony because she cheated, and we're in an at-fault state. It was messy since D-Day. All of the stereotypes. First the sobbing, and then the trickle-shoof saying, "I love you! It was just one time!" Okay, it was 2 years. And then the gaslighting, followed by, "I'm going to take you for everything," before packing your crap and walking out. I feel like I never really knew the woman my ex was, and all the time we were together. We were married 5 years and together for 7, and in 2 of those 5 married years, she had affairs with 3 other men. The final one being a foreign businessman of some sort, from what I could find out. Yes, I got tested for STDs, and was thankfully negative. Yes, she got pregnant by the final affair partner, and no, I didn't sign the birth certificate because I found out about all the affairs before the baby was born, thanks to a call from the first affair partner. My ex tried to go full scorched earth on me, but since we live in and were married in an at-fault state, she lost. We didn't pay equally into our house, and the equity was divided 70-30. So I got a pretty good cash payout when I sold her material home to put as a down payment on a different house close from my job. It's a bit of a downgrade, but suits a single guy in his 30s like me just fine. My ex did show up to my house once, but I refused to let her in. She complained to me that I'd financially ruined her in the divorce. I said that if she was fully willing to do that to me first, and the witch had the audacity to say it should have been my life effed over and not hers. I laughed so hard and said it was karma. She yelled that she'd sue me for what was rightfully hers. I said if she was going to sue me, then to go ahead and sue me. It'd end up the same way in court because she has nothing but a false sob story. She was the cheater, not me. I'm no angel, but I didn't do anything to her, and she was the one who ruined her marriage. She then said she'd tell everyone she could that I abused her. I said I'd sue her for defamation if she did, and I was recording our interaction and had those words saved to my phone. She went wide-eyed and her jaw dropped. To look people are calling the surprised Pikachu face? Then I asked why she was there, if not to just try and make trouble. Because she had a new man in her life that knocked her up. She just huffed at me and said he isn't around much, and she's stuck in a tiny apartment living off of his child support till he comes back. It was immature of me, I know, but I did the bit of playing the world's smallest violin. She yelled at me to go F myself, and I yelled back that I'd sooner do that than her any time. She raged at me and then got in her car to leave. I haven't seen her since. There's an HOA in my neighborhood, but I was not legally obligated to join it because the last owner of my house was not a member. I made sure of that through a real estate lawyer as well. The HOA had no grounds to force me to join, and were not happy about it. The HOA president would show up with forms every week for the first month demanding I sign them. Then she threatened to take me to court, to which I had to get a cease and desist sent to her from my lawyer to make her stop that. So she started harassing me by looking for any infractions she possibly could to report to the city. An inspector came out several times and found nothing wrong. In fact, I offered one of them a burger while grilling, and they graciously accepted. Did I mention the HOA hates barbecues and parties that aren't approved in advance? Well, they do, and I like to grill when the weather is good. And my neighbors actually love me for it because I invite them over. I had the police called on me several times for noise complaints because I was playing music on a Saturday afternoon while having my friends over. The HOA president I caught trespassing once when she was trying to peer into my windows. I called the police, but she denied ever doing it. So I got cameras. She hasn't trespassed since. But I still got repeated passive-aggressive letters saying my cameras were not an approved addition to my house. Some months ago, I started getting letters for fines in the mail. And when I contacted the HOA, their representative claimed they had it on record that I'd joined and needed to pay all fees effective immediately. I told them that was not possible. Then they emailed me a scanned copy of the forms, and they had a signature on them. But it was not mine. It was very similar in some ways, and I recognized right away as being my ex's handwriting. She knew what my signature looked like, but it was a loose imitation at best. I got in touch with a lawyer right away over the forged signature, but the HOA still demanded to go to court. And it took 7 months before that happened. Meanwhile, they were stacking unpaid fines against me weekly, and were threatening to put a lien on my house. We went to court, and the HOA president looked very smug. But my lawyer pointed out how the signature wasn't the same as mine and was very inconsistent in the various forms. I'd never allowed the HOA president in my house, and I'd never requested the forms. The idiot HOA president actually slammed her palm on the table and said it was still binding. But when pressed where the fraudulent signature came from, she admitted my ex-wife called the HOA and they sent her the forms, then got them back in the mail signed. But then she actually claimed she thought I'd signed them. The judge looked at her and asked if she was serious. She confirmed she was. The judge then asked how a woman I was no longer married to, that I had never even lived with in my current residence, was supposed to have any bearing on whether or not I joined the HOA. She went quiet, and I could see the "oh crap" look on her face as the hamster wheels were turning and she seemed to finally mentally put the pieces together. My lawyer then counterclaimed that what the HOA did was blatant fraud and legal actions must be taken. And they were. I countersued the HOA for the emotional distress of the harassment I've gotten since moving in, which I had lots of proof. That won me about 10 grand after lawyer fees that I decided to put towards my mortgage. The HOA president was removed from her throne. I like to think she was kicking and screaming. She was also slapped with a hefty fine. I've seen her outside a few times, and she always looks at me like I am the devil. The HOA itself had to pay all my legal fees too. I wanted to go after my ex for forging my signature, but can't because not long after she forged my signature on those forms, she apparently left the country to be with her third affair partner. She's somewhere in Europe from what I can see on the final post of her Facebook before she disappeared. So I can't do anything against her unless she ever returns to the US. So that was a wash. I'm not getting letters from the HOA anymore though, and the new president has promised to keep things completely cordial from now on. I still don't feel like I got much of a win in this though. Other than the 10K payout, it all felt like a huge wasted time. I'm sure the community has some thoughts here. Let's check in. Windtorn AU says, a mixture of HOA and an X story. What a combo and worth the read. Square Hole Round Plug says, and a Wen Peo Karma Slap. What a roller coaster that was. Nefariousness Sweet 70 thinks, is there a statute of limitations on forgery? I would ask that lawyer, because if she returns, there would be a warrant for arrest when she steps off the plane. Fogo Bum adds in many U.S. jurisdictions, fleeing the state tolls the statute of limitations. It might be worth seeing if the police or DA are willing to charge the crime. Assuming it is a crime, some fraud statutes are specific about gain and may not recognize profitless harm. I am not a lawyer, but if I understand correctly, outstanding charges toll longer or in more jurisdictions. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of drama in a short period of time, and totally unnecessary. First of all, it's pretty disturbing to think that the HOA was harassing you like that. Someone took their job way too seriously. And secondly, your ex-wife, to think that she was trying to make your life a living hell in any way she could just because she was bored and couldn't bear to see you happy. She didn't want to see you move on because her life turned out to be not at all what she had expected. To show up at your house and complain at you for ruining her financially? She should have thought about that before she cheated on you. You said it right. Karma caught up to her. It seemed to be that she effed over her own life and tried to make yours a living hell. Honestly, there's no point in wishing anyone ill because it always comes back to you. So sorry I had to waste all that time, OP. Here's to peace and quiet from now on. Do you have a crazy ex who just couldn't handle seeing you move on? Let us know in the comments below. Up next, though, some words of the wise. Be like Roy, a thing I tell myself to help the pain. Everyone I know has seen The Office. Everyone knows about Pam and Jim, how they were meant to be. But I never liked Pam, and Jim was too good for her. Pam had an emotional affair on her fiancé for years before starting a physical one. Her fiancé Roy was pissed and ran off. Cut to the last season, Jim is trying to start business. With a family on the way, he finds his motivation. Pam doesn't want that. She wants a simple white picket fence. And when Jim fights her on this and goes to Philadelphia, she starts an emotional affair with the boom mic operator. But in Philly, he runs into Roy. Roy is now a millionaire, calm-tempered man who is happy for Pam. He says he was too ambitious for her and became rich after her. He moved on and made Jim see how Pam dragged him down. Be like Roy. P.S. If you can't tell, I hate The Office because of Pam and Jim's relationship. Even before my D-Day, I hated Pam for doing that to Roy. But be like Roy. Let's check out the community on this one. Judy7679 says, I was reading A Crowded Marriage by Catherine Elliott. When she hears a friend talking about plans to leave her husband and children for her affair partner, the main character thinks, I wonder if it could be right to cause so much pain just to achieve personal fulfillment. Did we really have the divine right to be happy? Did it rank above duty to passion and loyalty? I wasn't convinced. I wondered if she ever would truly be happy. if her in-loveness would last. In Eleanor's eyes, she made one simple mistake. She'd married the wrong man, and now she was rectifying it. But an awful lot of people were going to have to be sacrificed on the altar of Eleanor's happiness. This is a work of fiction, but summarizes the selfishness of the wayward spouse, that their pleasure is more important than their commitments. Pro Dunce adds in, "It's not just Roy. I hated how movies and TV romanticize emotional affairs like it's a good thing. The person that got left behind just became an extra. Are we supposed to be extras?" DOP responds, "We're not extras. We're Roys, the main character of our own shows, who were extras on someone else's show. Besides, TV doesn't show what happens after, and they start to question each other and how they both cheated to get here." You definitely have a point here, OP. We tend to only see one side portrayed in the media. I think sometimes it's hard to imagine actually moving on and living happily and being our best selves when we're stuck in a difficult place mentally and hurting. That being said, when we're out of those ruts, I love when we have those aha moments after bad things happen to us. We see clearly and we see things for what they are. It makes it feel like all that hurt and all that pain was worth it. Like the journey was meant to be and there was a bigger purpose to all of it. The reality is, we move on. We live our lives because we must. Life goes on. But it's up to us to make life the best it can be. We can choose to stay in the rut, or we can choose to make the best of it and live up to our potential. What do you like to remind yourselves of to help ease the pain? Let us know below. And thank you for joining us today on Our Space. Please be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Also, please let us know what you thought of today's content in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time.